You're listening to WooSox Insight, presented by your Worcester Red Sox.
Opening weekend is over. We did it. WooSox Nation, we are back. The Worcester Red Sox are back. They just finished up a 3-game series at Polar Park. Dave Leonardi, our fearless producer,
what is
our
up?
score pad aficionado, and overall, he's an okay guy. But no, Dave is awesome. We are back. We are finally back to baseball. It was a cold weekend. There was a lot of rain. We had a very sunny Sunday. It's around 8:00 on Sunday night, April 2nd, right now. Dave and I think, are okay with it being an off week next week.
Oh yeah. After I mean, as much of a marathon it is from the end of last season to this season, it's very much a sprint as well.
Oh yeah. You feel like you have all this time before the season starts, then you're a week out, then you're 3 days out, 2 days out, and then it's opening day, and you're like, oh, am I ready for this? I've had a lot of time. Am I ready for this? And for anyone who wasn't at Polar Park for opening day, well, you missed a good one, because wow, were we able to put on a show. We are known for
3 years in a row. 3 years in a row, undefeated on opening day in Worcester.
Undefeated base. You get to see, it's almost guaranteed now that you get to, if you're going on opening day to the home opener at Polar Park, you're going to see the WooSox win, and you're going to see a really, really cool opening ceremony. This year, not only did we have the incredible Bob Cousy, an all-time Boston Celtic great. We're very fortunate that, we know he's going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Not only did we have the North High state champions, the basketball team, out on the field to throw a first pitch, but we had David Ortiz show up with the Worcester Red Sox jersey on, took a live mic, which, Dave, were we a little concerned?
A little bit. He's known for his personality.
It was great. We got to see him walk onto the field. This is a, kind of like the worst kept secret in our front office. We were all, we've known for a little while now, or at least have hoped that this would happen. We knew it was a possibility, but we didn't, until you see David Ortiz walk out onto Polar Park and onto the field. It's like, until that moment happens, you don't know whether or not it's going to happen. So, Dave, from a perspective of someone who, when you're watching a baseball game, well, let me rephrase that. When you are working at Polar Park, watching a baseball game, you are scoring a baseball game. Can you recall random plays from that game, out of nowhere, or is it more that you just have scored so many? By the way, everyone, Dave is for the past 2 years now, 2 years plus 3 games, has been the person who has scored 98% probably of the WooSox home games. So every time you look at the scoreboard, and every single thing is right, from the strikes to the outs to the runs, hits, errors. That's because Dave is intently watching. So I'm just intrigued because you have this perspective on it. So can you recall it, or is it more just like that play's done, on to the next?
There are some plays that stick around just because they're so obscure. I'll never forget this one play from last season. It was I want to say it was a time in June. There was a runner on first base, and Jarren Duran had hit a single, and it went out into center field. It went right up the middle, right past the pitcher's foot, and right as a ground ball into center field. Lead runner goes to third base on the hit, classic first to third. Jaron took a little bit too much of a turn around first base and got himself caught in a little bit of a rundown. While that rundown was going on, the lead runner at third saw that rundown and thought, oh, this is a great time to head home, because at the time there was only one out in the inning. So he's thinking about going home, and they see the guy going home in the middle of Jaron's rundown. They throw home and get him. So that was a single, but the second half of that play was an 8-6-3-5-2 tag out at the plate. So that's ground ball, single to center field, and the center fielder throws it into shortstop, who then threw it to first during the rundown, who then threw it across the field to third base to try and get that rundown, and he threw it to the catcher to get the tag out. So it's like there's little plays like that I can remember.
Little plays like that, yeah.
But like a lot of it does get lost. But like today's Sunday, you're hearing this Monday, April 3rd. But like today, I remember there was like a fielder's choice 6-4 because the shortstop went to go throw it to first, but he kind of like hesitated for a second because he saw the guy was almost at the first base bag already, and he didn't want to like force a throw and possibly commit an error or something. So he held on to the ball. Like I remember little things like that, just because like a fielder's choice doesn't happen like every play. But a lot of the plays are just like, oh, that's done, on to the next one. I have to make sure like the pitcher board is getting pitch speed and the counts right.
Exactly.
And I'm using the binoculars to see who's in the Syracuse Mets pen.
Yeah. So not only is that fascinating, but the other side of it is when that first pitch is thrown, you are on.
Mm-hmm.
From the perspective of, and last year you were down on the field filming a lot using our wireless camera. Was it nice to be able to sit back and watch the ceremonies, or were you still working during that time, probably logging, like getting people's information, biographical information in? Did you get to take in any of the ceremony on opening day?
If I'm honest, I'm more, even though I'm not doing something physically, I'm still like mentally working. I'm still taking notes of like, what's this call out Brendan is saying? He's saying take silver, roll silver. Like, what does that mean? Or, oh, this graphic went up at this time. Like, why is that? Or this graphic was made in this way. How could I make something like that? Like, I'm kind of studying just the overall work. But I say during the pregame ceremonies, I stopped doing that once I saw Ortiz. I fully took in that moment of watching him on the field, and I took myself out of work mode. Like a lot of the times too, like my day starts of being locked into the game probably the second I get in, because then I'm loading in rosters. I'm texting, Cooper Boardman, one of our awesome broadcasters we have here at the WooSox. I'm texting, Bill Walness, making sure, hey, this guy in the lineup, it says this number, but on the roster it says this number. Can you like confirm which is correct? Or, oh, this guy is playing this position. He hasn't really done that. Are we sure it's this position? Or, did anyone get called up? Did anyone get released, traded, et cetera, et cetera? So like the entire time from the second I clock in until the second the game is over, I am entirely zoned in and focused on everything that has to do with the game, from player numbers to their birthdays, their height, their weight, their averages, everything. Everything is accounted for.
And opening day is a little different of an animal, because it is almost like you have wiped the slate clean and you're doing it all over again. And in minor league baseball, day to day, players' numbers are changing. Somehow their heights are changing. It's just this wild thing. But overall, we had a really awesome opening weekend. WooSox win 2, lose 1. Like Dave said earlier, they're undefeated in home openers, which is awesome. There was a lot of cool stuff that happened at the park this weekend.
Oh yeah, and I just want to add too.
Ooh.
I just want to add too, if you were not able to come to the park this opening weekend, you have to make sure you're here for the other homestands, because we have some new players this year that were not here in WooSox 22 who are already making insane impacts on the field. And I mean, you have the dual Hamiltons, Caleb and David, both going yard this opening weekend. I mean, they're both very exciting players. I'm especially, impressed with David Hamilton's play this past weekend. And if you don't know who he is, you have to come to the park and come find out for yourself, because there are some players we have this year that they need a big crowd behind them because they deserved it.
Yeah, and not only that, we have like a bunch of cool little cool and new things at the park. From our fan deck to I mean, I wouldn't say these are cool, they are heaters in the concourse that I bet fans really, really enjoyed this past weekend. We have
Clam chowder.
We have clam chowder, we have lobster rolls, we have a pitch speed like machine or like tunnel out in out behind our Hanover deck, which I have yet to try out. I really need that to happen. I think that was something it was sorely missed. If you don't have a place for grown men to throw out their arms trying to beat the high score of the night of like a 67-mile-per-hour fastball that some 14-year-old kid just threw, it's like, well, what are we doing? So I'm going to try to throw out my arm in this upcoming homestand. I hope the rest of us can try too. But not only that, we have an organ. We have Dave O'Brien. If you've been into the DCU club, he plays the piano almost every single game, and he's just the best. And now we have implemented him in on the organ. We've got Dr. Charles will sit in. We had Josh Cantor, the organist from Fenway Park on opening day,
who's never missed a Red Sox game.
Never missed a Red Sox game. And then we had all the stars in the building for opening day. Joe Castiglione, obviously David Ortiz, Bob Cousy, and we know we had a bunch of different state officials and all those type of things. But okay, Dave, outside of the ceremonious kind of things, what was your favorite moment of the weekend? It could be baseball. It has to be in between first and last pitch of any of the three games.
Okay. I'd say, that's tough. That's tough putting me on the spot for. Let's see.
It is, yeah. I didn't even know what question I was going to ask you when I started talking. So
I'd say my favorite moment that happened during the games was during opening day when it was like the first two innings and I was sitting there on score pad and I was scoring the game and I was thinking how like I haven't touched this machine in months. And like when we were doing all the training and stuff, I was so focused on trying to help out, the players, try to learn as much as they can and try to set them up for success as much as possible. I didn't even lay a finger on the OES or the score pad software at all. And I was sitting there and I was like, I didn't forget anything. I was like, this is awesome. And I looked around the room and I was like, there's all these new people, but everything's working. Everything's going just fine. Everything's going up when it's supposed to. Like everything's working right now. We're 2 innings into the season and I already feel like we're in a bit of a groove. And that was just an awesome feeling to have, to just feel like, to not have to, not wait a couple months where, okay, everyone's now settled in or something like that. It's day one, we're ready. I mean, having that feeling, day one, awesome.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. From a selfish side of things, our production team absolutely killed it. We put on such an awesome show, and the coordination that it takes, not just from our production team, but from every single other WooSox employee, from the ambassadors down on the field who have to actually coordinate where these masses of people that we bring down onto the field to you're wrangling wild animals out there doing like, you go over here, you go.
I can't even imagine the stress of being told your job is to try and direct David Ortiz of where he has to go.
Yeah, so I'm cheating here and I'm gonna go ahead and still say my favorite moment from the weekend was David Ortiz going around. Not only like we were like, okay, this is probably going to take a little while because he's David Ortiz, he's going to ham it up. Everyone's going to want to see him, say hi to him. But you got to forget how just like nice of a guy David Ortiz is, that once he gave the hug to that first person, every single person on that field was going to give him a hug. And then the selfie started. And then David knew it was taking too long. So he started taking people's phones and was like, I'm bigger than you. This is a better angle and easier. And he just started doing it. And he helped it speed up the process. So thank you, David Ortiz, for not only being, one of the most legendary players in Red Sox history, but also you helped us at least move along that opening ceremony a little bit. I think we started about 12 minutes late, but neither here nor there.
And I just want to say, I love how there's this like connection too between the 3 opening days, is how, we're all, and it's not just production, it's everyone in the entire ballpark. Everyone is on like just a high level of just intense focus, trying to make sure everything is exactly the way we planned it and everything else. And every opening day, there's that one moment where it just strings on a little bit. And at first we're like, oh, this is going long. But then we all kind of take a deep breath and sit back and just let the moment be the moment. And that was like in 21 when Bob Cousy first had his speech prior to first pitch. And, it goes to this year when we have Ortiz going around. There's always something that kind of breaks the tension in opening day and during the ceremonies. And it just kind of sets the tone of just a relaxed feel for the rest of the day.
And, I'm really glad you said it, because I haven't thought of that kind of set. Like, it is such like a funny, like we are given a script and we are rehearsing to make sure that, by the way, Ben DeCastro, watch out. Dave Leonardi's coming for you. Dave was doing the PA announcements during our rehearsals. And so he knew how quickly or how like on time that we were trying to like make that ceremony. And then all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, he's got to hurry up. And then you stop and you go, well, what are we going to do now? Let's just let it happen. And then you're able to all of a sudden take in the moment of seeing David Ortiz like walking around, giving hugs to these people. And these are literally these moments that no one on that field, maybe in that ballpark, are ever going to forget. David Ortiz just came to Worcester. He took the mic. He had an awesome speech, and it was great. It was amazing to see. And, I think that really that moment allowed us to kind of like step out of that script and enjoy the moment. Like the fans were able to enjoy the moment. I don't think we get to do that very often, because there's always another play, another thing that's going to happen. So, and also it's like we got like a little like 7-minute break in the middle of our pregame ceremonies where we could breathe and just have fun. So, but yeah, overall, incredible opening weekend for the Worcester Red Sox. Like Dave said, there is some insane talent on this team. There's some insane talent on this team that we haven't even seen play yet. We have guys that are giving it their all. You can see the intensity and the excitement that they already have for winning games and for playing in front of like a very passionate fan base. So I think we have a really, really exciting year ahead of us. There's obviously going to be all the promotions in the world that you can think of. Whether or not your town is represented in Town Takeover, you can look into that. I know we have Spencer Night and Shrewsbury Night coming up in April. On top of that, by the time this comes out, we will have a triple header of Worcester Public School baseball at Polar Park, which is awesome. And maybe your name gets to get read off by Dave Leonardi. Could you imagine? We'll see. We'll see. But
I will say,
go ahead.
I'll say, in WooSox 22, we had walk-offs, we had home run celebrations, we had a no-hitter. And in WooSox 23, there's even more to do and see.
My goodness, Dave. My goodness, you're good. All right, folks. The WooSox are back in action April 11th, Tuesday, April 11th, Tacos and tequila. I mean, come on. Tacos and tequila Tuesdays, then woof woof Wednesdays, then throwback Thursday to Friday night Unibake fireworks to Saturday sunset catch to Sunday fun day presented by Fallon Health, followed by HB Hood. Kids run the bases. It's kind of a stacked lineup there. So I would say get your tickets now. Get them while you can. I'm not going to promise that it's going to be warmer, but like it's got to be warmer. Hopefully, it's going to be. But for Dave Leonardi, again, our fearless producer, the guy who's going to push this thing out so we can have it a quick turnaround. I am Brennan Black. This is WooSox 23. This is WooSox Insider, and we will see you at Polar Park soon.
And I actually want to add one more note.
Uh-oh.
I'd like to give a special thank you. I'm sorry I have forgotten your names, but the 2 fans that had come up to me prior to opening day and recognized me as part of the podcast and basically thanked me, and to the woman who runs WooSox Nation that had come up to me, thank you very much for reposting the podcast, and thank you to everyone who listens.
That is awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you back at Polar Park April 11th.